Think about a client you onboarded last month, the one whose family pays on time, never questions the hours, never haggles over the invoice. There's a real chance you lose that client inside a year, and it won't be because your caregiver did anything wrong. It'll be because they ran out of money. Here's the backdrop. About 70% of people who turn 65 will need some type of long-term care in the years that follow. But here's the part most families have backwards. Medicare doesn't pay for the work your team does. Bathing, dressing, meals, transfers, none of it. That's what's called custodial care, and it lands on the family. So a household that looks comfortable today can hit a wall in 18 months, and you, the care professional, see it coming before the family does, before the advisor, before anyone. Because there's one warning sign that shows up in your schedule months before a family ever says the word money out loud. Stay with me, because by the end of this, you'll know exactly what to look for. I'm a mortgage broker. I've spent 23 years in this business, and I work with families who use their home equity to fund retirement and care. So in this video, I'm going to show you why the clients who can clearly afford you today are often the first ones to disappear, and how understanding 3 things about retirement income lets you keep them on service and become the professional the family actually trusts. Here's what you've watched happen. A family signs up for 30 hours a week. The first couple of months go smooth. Then they ask to drop to 20. A month later, 12. Then they put care on hold for now. So you figure they found someone cheaper, a relative stepped in to help. But most of the time, neither one is true. What actually happened is the math caught up with them. Run the numbers with me. CareScout's 2025 survey put the national median for non-medical in-home care at $35 an hour. That works out to $80,000 a year at 44 hours a week. Now take a lighter schedule as an illustration. At 30 hours a week, 35 an hour comes out to $1,050 a week. Call it $4,550 a month, $54,600 a year. And that's an example before anyone needs more help, not less. Here's a trap families fall into. Care almost never gets cheaper over time. It gets more expensive because the person needs more hours, not fewer. About 1 in 5 people will need care for more than 5 years. And 5 years at the 30-hour example is north of $250,000 out of pocket for one person. The long tail is real. Government research finds that roughly 14% of people spend at least $100,000 of their own money on long-term care before it's over. Let me give you a typical client. I'll call her Margaret. Family looks at the first invoice and it's fine. Social Security covers part of it, savings covers the rest. But what nobody did was run that same math out 3 years. So by year 2, Margaret needs more hours. The savings are thinner, and the same care that felt affordable now feels impossible. And the family does the only thing the family feels like's in their control. They cut your hours. The reason this keeps happening is simple. Most families build their plan around what care costs this month. They never build it out for what it costs in year 3. So when you see the hours start getting trimmed, that's the signal. The plan was built for now, and now just arrived. The solution isn't to sell harder or push back on the family. It's to read the cutback correctly, because when the family that could clearly afford full care starts shaving hours, that's rarely a satisfaction problem. That's a cash flow problem. And a cash flow problem has solutions a scheduling change can't touch. Second thing, and it's the single most expensive misunderstanding in the whole business. The family tells you, once mom qualifies, Medicare will cover this, or they're banking on a long-term care policy that they think pays right away. So they keep the hours high, burn through the savings, and assume reimbursement is on the way. But it isn't. Medicare doesn't cover long-term custodial care, full stop. What it covers is short-term skilled care. After a qualifying hospital stay of at least 3 days, it'll pay for up to 100 days in a skilled nursing facility, period, per benefit. Days 1 through 20, there's no daily coinsurance. But days 21 through 100, the family owes a daily coinsurance. And on day 101, Medicare is finished and the family pays everything. The moment mom no longer needs skilled care, even if she still can't dress herself, the coverage stops. The daily help your team provides was never covered to begin with. Here's where families really get tripped up. Most people assume Medicare covers long-term care. It doesn't. The program that usually covers the most long-term care in the country is Medicaid. Different program, different rules, and the mix-up costs families months of false hope. And the families counting on long-term care policy, well, those policies commonly include a waiting period before they pay anything, plus a daily or monthly benefit cap, depending on the contract. So the check that was supposed to rescue the budget can show up later and smaller than the family expected. Here's a solution, and it's lighter than you'd expect. You don't have to fix the family's finances. You're not a financial advisor, and you shouldn't pretend to be. Your job is just to not repeat the myth. So when a family says, Medicare got this, that's your cue. Not to argue, but to point them towards someone who can map out how care actually gets paid for. This one redirect is the difference between the care that continues and care that stops cold at month 3. Quick thing before we keep going. If you've watched a family stop care because the money ran out, not because they wanted to, tell me in the comments. I read them, and those stories help shape what I make next. And if this is useful so far, hit subscribe, because I'm building a full series for care professionals on the money side of this work, the part nobody trains you on. So third thing, where the money actually comes from, and the one source that almost never makes it into the care conversation. Picture that family again. They're sitting at $54,000 a year. Medicare's out, and they don't want to move mom out of the house she's lived in for 30 years. So they feel stuck, and stuck families cut hours. But look at that household one more time. They're what we'd call a house rich and cash poor. The checking account is thin, but the home is worth more than everything else they own combined. And the whole reason they hired you was to keep mom in that home. In the simplest terms, there are only a handful of ways to pay for care. There's income like Social Security and pensions. There's savings and investments. There's long-term care insurance if they bought it. There's VA benefits for those who served. There's Medicaid for those who qualify and are willing to spend down their assets. And then there's home equity. That last one, home equity, is the piece that almost never comes up while you're standing in the living room talking about hours. Even though for a family trying to age in place, the house is usually the largest resource on the table, and there are tools built to turn part of that equity into monthly cash flow without selling the home and without required monthly mortgage payments. A reverse mortgage is one of them. It isn't right for every family, and I'm not here to tell you it is. I'm just telling you that it exists, because in 23 years, I've watched too many families cut care they didn't have to cut while sitting inside a paid-off house. A financial advisor I work with put it to me this way once. He said, "The home is the one asset families will starve every other plan to protect, and the one they never think to use." Now here's the part that should matter to you as a care professional. Cutting hours to save money often costs more in the end, because fewer hours means less supervision, and less supervision raises the odds of a fall. A fall lands mom in the ER, then the hospital, then a skilled nursing facility where a semi-private room runs about $315 a day. That's roughly $115,000 a year. So the family tried to save $1,500 a month and walked straight into a bill that's 10 times that size. You've seen this exact sequence play out. So here's the solution for you. You don't need to know how any of these tools work in detail. You just need to know that they exist, because that changes the sentence that comes out of your mouth. Instead of, "I understand, let's drop you to 12 hours, you get to say, "Before you cut back, it could be worth having someone look at the full picture. There may be options on the table you haven't considered." Then you hand them a name. That's the whole move. You kept the family from making a panic decision. You kept mom safer, and you kept your client on service. Let me close the loop I opened from the start. The warning sign, the one that shows up months before anyone says the word money, it's your schedule. It's hours getting trimmed on a client who plainly can afford you. A family that slides from 30 hours to 20 to 12 for no reason tied to your care. That's not a client leaving you. That's a funding plan built for today colliding with tomorrow. And now you'll recognize it the second you see it. So here are 3 things to carry with you. First, affordability is a moving target. So read the cutbacks. Second, Medicare doesn't cover what you do, so don't let that myth stand. And third, home equity is a resource nobody mentions, so remember it's there. You're not becoming a financial planner. You're becoming the professional in the home who sees the whole picture. And that's who families keep. That's who they refer. I put together a guide for in-home care professionals on exactly this. It lays out the warning signs to watch for, the questions you can ask a family without overstepping, and how to know when it's time to bring the financial professional in. It's free, and the link is in the description. Download it and bring it to your next team meeting. And if you got a family right now who's about to cut care of her money and you want a second set of eyes on whether home equity is even an option for them, that's the work I do. I'm an independent broker, so I'm not tied to one lender or one product. Reach out. No pitch, no pressure. Worst case, the family learns their options and you make a smarter recommendation. Keep your clients on service, and I'll see you on the next one.